A month ago, I was just scrolling through YouTube. Then one day, a video of Venator pops on my feed, and it shows how he made a 8-bit CPU just using only breadboards and some logic gates and stuff like that. So I thought that why not me? Like he had a whole playlist explaining how he did that, how he made the circuits. So I challenged myself like if I watch his video and learn something from him, maybe I can make it too. So, yeah, I somewhat made it. After deciding that I will make this project, it was not possible for me to make everything on breadboard and like uh, purchase all these maps. It would have been, a lot of tedious job to do. So I was searching a simulator. Then I came across this simulator called as Digital Logic Sim. And the interesting part about this simulator is means it just provides you NAND gates and you have to make everything on your own. Like each gate, except NAND gates, you have to make everything on your own. So that's what I did here. Almost everything using only NAND gates. The progress I have made as of now is I have basically done the register part. It was not too much difficult. Like just make one D flip-flop and then I replicate it 16 times. This will give me register A. Same for the register B, like just copy paste it. And same for register C, just that the 4 bits, like the bit 7, 6, 5, and 4 are not connected to the bus. And as of now, I am not using these bits like 15 to the bit 15. Bit 8. I'm not using this as of now because it is a 16-bit CPU, but as of now, I am using only 8 bits. So technically, we can say it is a 8-bit CPU. So that here is register A, B, and C means instruction register. Then for ALU also like make 1-bit full adder and replicate it 16 times. And it was not as difficult to make this. And it can also switch between addition and subtraction. It cannot perform as of now like bitwise and ORs or I will add these features later. The next thing I worked was this 16-bit counter, and of course I can't use the 16-bit at once, so I divided it in 4 segments, 4 bit counter, and yeah, this individual 4-bit counter counts up to 0 to 15, then it resets. My first plan was to like give asynchronous clocks to them. Like when this counter resets, it basically the reset pin will be given to as clock to the next counter. But of course, that was not the case because it will then be asynchronous. But I want the clock to be synchronous. So after some chats with Gemini, he told me that I could use this CY carry pin, means that when all the bits are 1 high, the carry will go high, and this will be given as an input to the next counter enable. Basically, when enable goes high, the counter start counting. Means if the enable is high and the clock goes high, it goes to 1. Then on the next clock, it will go to 2, 3, 4. Only and only when the enable is high. So enable needs to be high. So when it reaches basically 15, means all the bits are 1, then basically it will count on the next clock, and then it will wait till the this counter goes up to 15 again. So yeah, I kind of like this logic, and of course then it is connected to bus using a buffer. And the next part I worked on was the RAM, and I think this was the most main challenging one for me because even though the working was not that much difficult because already I have made a 16-bit register and buffer was like provided by the simulator. So making this was not that difficult, but figuring out how many means RAM row I need to make it and also how many address lines I would need was means it was difficult for me to understand because I was thinking of making 16-bit at the first time. So I thought that like I would need 16 such rows. But after realizing that for that 16-bit rows I would need a lot of address lines, which was of course not possible. And maybe if I figure it out somehow, I will try to increase the address lines by increasing the RAM. But as of now, it has basically 4 RAM rows total, and each RAM row contains a single RAM row, and it has 16-bit memory in it. So total 60 bits means 16, 16, 16, 64 bytes, 64 bits of RAM in one RAM row. So 64 into 4, 256. and if we divide it by 8, that is 32 bytes. So as of now, it has 32 bytes of RAM, but of course, as also of that 32 bytes, I am using only 8 bits. So divided by 2, 32 by 2 means only I am using 16 bytes as of now. So yeah, the PC is not at its full potential, but yeah, eventually I'm trying to figure it out somehow, like how will I unleash the full potential of the CPU. And here is the MAR, which basically takes the address lines from the bus, and whether we have to like write something into the bus or send something from the RAM to the bus, this will decide it. And if you want to write something manually, like if I want to write a data manually on some address, so I will just make this pin high, and I want to write, so this will also be high. So at address 0, I can write something like 0 1 0 1 1, and then on the next clock it will store. So like this was MAR, and yeah. So the next part I work was the control logic, and believe me, this made my job like very much easier, because instead of now manually giving inputs here, I could just rely on the control logic, like fill whatever address and data I have to fill inside the ROM, and the control logic will take care. So the control logic counts till 0 to 4, and then it resets itself, because that's the maximum which each instruction takes to work. And here it is a 3 to 8 decoder, which basically allows this counter to reset. So yeah, that's what's happening here. I made this counter using JK flip-flop only, and yeah, the interesting part was to use the reset logic inside it, because like when the reset goes high, it needs to reset. But previously, I was writing the value of, means I was trying to write over these values directly. Means my idea was that when reset goes high, I need to make this all zero. But that was wrong logic, because the memory was still being stored inside the flip-flop. So I can't do that. So I have to give inputs to J and K in order to make it zero. So yeah, that was quite interesting to learn. And yeah, I also learned about this ROM, like where I can fill the data manually, like for what address, what data to write. So now I know that these 7 bits will act as input in the ROM, and it will give 16 outputs, which will be used as output here. Like the ROM takes the 8-bit address, and then 7, sorry, means it has 8-bit lines, but I only use 7 bits, and it has 16 bits, which is like shown here. Last thing is this output register. Like here's the part where I got to know about ROM and how we can basically write data in those address lines. Means ROM made things so much easier. Instead of using the combinational circuit, we can use these things. And yeah, for 4 segments, I used 4 ROMs to display the data, and as per that 7 segment display, like it has some these segments A, B, C, D. So which one to turn on and which one to turn off is basically inside this ROM. And the latest thing that I have made now is this reset logic. Like whenever the CPU goes in halt, basically there is nothing that can make the CPU start again. So I have to close the simulator and then again open it. But that was like too much, means tedious to do. So I added a reset logic. Basically, this reset logic goes to each, like the register A, B, instruction register, program counter, RAM. No, not for the RAM, because I have to store the instruction and data inside the RAM. So I will write the data manually and the address manually here. So I didn't give the reset pin to the RAM, but except RAM, everything, almost everything has a reset pin. And making the reset pin was not that much difficult. I just added a modified the D flip flop. Basically, when the reset goes high, I need to make the D zero somehow. So yeah, that's what I did. Made the D zero somehow, so that the output becomes zero on the clock. So if I basically turn the reset high, everything will go into zero. As soon as I remove the reset, everything will be back to normal. So Next thing you will be seeing is a practical demonstration, like the small program which basically adds and displays the number on the display. Here's a simple program which adds the content of memory location 14 and 15 and displays the result. In memory location 14, I have stored 28, and in memory location 15, I have stored 14. So the addition result will be 42. The result is in hexadecimal. So 2a in decimal is 42. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any type of review, you can post it in the comments, and my social links are in the description if you want to contact me. Thank you for watching.